I would put music and some audio cues in this intro, but I don't have any. Sorry.
I'm going to preface this review, and it's going to be an extended one. If you wish to skip to the actual beef of the video, skip to here. But I'd say you'd be doing yourself a disservice by doing so. I feel like I must disclose whatever relations I had with the creator of the subject of this review first. That person being Garnt Mani Tuffo. I hope that's how you, pronounce that name. AKA Gigguk. Because there was a time, in the distant past, when we knew each other online back in the old days of anime reviewing on YouTube. Long story short, I made a shitty review of Madoka, he found it amusing enough to give it attention, and we got on speaking terms on Skype when it was still popular, and the rest is history. I disclose this because from one reviewer to another, there's a level of respect I must give Gigguk for the creation of Baan, his short anime released on YouTube for all to see. The reality of how productions of any real magnitude occur can be one fraught with trials, creative differences, struggle, strict management, and a real sense of dread when trying to put the pieces together when things aren't going smoothly. I've come to realize this, and probably him too. So basically, I want to congratulate Garnt on his success in regards to doing what us reviewers of anime wish we could do. Make an anime ourselves. Because folks, that is an achievement in of itself, especially if you're indie. Lord knows the kitten was the best I could do for an original project, and I can't even finish it. I can't begin to imagine what it must be like not just to be involved, but to lead and supervise a project like this with paid professionals, doing actual pre-production involving scripting, conceptualization, storyboarding, managing animators, managing colorists, talking with actual anime producers, supervising voice casting, etc., etc. That is a tall order of things. One I have little to no experience with doing myself, so the fact that he did all of that and the result, at least in terms of presentation, is of objectively acceptable quality is nothing short of commendable. Doff hat to you, Garnt. My washed up autistic ass would crumple under the weight of such responsibilities. You certainly did something Misty Chronexia failed at. Make something you can't immediately laugh at for all the wrong reasons. So yeah, Gigguk did it. The guy certainly had ambition with this one. But you see, when looking back at those old days, it just makes me realize how easy it is to dunk on someone else's work when you have no idea what the process is like, how decisions are made. Gigguk sent out his child onto the web for all to see. That means it will inevitably be watched and evaluated by people like me. And unlike in those days, I know better. So Baan, what of it? That's why you're here, right? Gigguk amassed his following talking about other people's work, not always in good faith. So why should I do anything else? Regardless of what I think of the man today, which is negatively by the way, I recognize that I must disconnect those feelings and observe the work as objectively as I possibly can, though Lord knows it'll be a challenge. I'm not so forgiving. Everyone's a critic, especially me. The gloves are off, if only because Garnt assured they'd be, by putting this out in the first place. Unlike your subscribers, unlike your Reddit, and unlike your current circle, I'm not gonna suck your cock, Garnt. Let's get the obvious superficial elements out of the way. Baan is fine to look at. I've read people being captivated by the visuals, but all I could say is, what drugs were they smoking, man? Because I want some. Baan is no single episode of a ufotable anime. It's no single episode of standalone Complex, but fine. It's an indie project. Give it some slack. For an indie anime that aims for a full episode length, it's good. The voice acting for its English dub, which is clearly the dominant way Garnt wants people to view Baan, is fine. I don't have any real complaints, if only because it's kind of a one-off thing. Definitely better than some other dubs I've heard from quote-unquote professionals, and I don't simply mean popular punching bags like Garzy's Wing or whatever.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Elia.
Good morning, Shiro. It's gonna be a pretty day. Good morning to you too, Liz.
Good morning.
Liz, do you think
What the fuck?
Arrive?
This is where any kind of praise ends, however. Baan, a self-contained work of short length, is a mess. But it's a mess not of the Itsuka Tenma kind, but rather falls into the trap a lot of short stories fall into. It feels like a proof of concept than an organically cultivated narrative. Baan presents us with a world that is seemingly like our own except for one huge difference. There is another world connected to it. By the power of a mystical gate, the magical realm and ours are able to coexist. Somehow, people from either side can just kind of go to each other's world, seemingly at will, and already, I have questions. What is this other world? What's the origin of this gate? What's the socio-political climate of this very thing that exists? Who are these magical people? Are they human or are they dancer? What is this magic? Does it have an origin? How does it work? Can people travel to each respective realm at will, or is there actually a process we aren't shown? Who is this magical realm's government? Do they even keep tabs on this? How is our main character able to use a smartphone? Does the magical realm have phones? Have they always had phones? Why is this dude traveling to the magic realm? I don't read Japanese, after all. How did Rin get this apartment if she doesn't have a job at the beginning? Where's the inciting incident? Why should I care about whatever story this is trying to convey? We aren't even 5 minutes, and already, I just can't shut my mind up. The implications of a magical realm existing in parallel to ours, and them being connected, is never touched upon in a meaningful way. What doesn't help is the fact that our world is portrayed in such a consequence-free fashion. It's just Japan, as is, and it's boring. As I was watching this, I couldn't help but ask questions more than the anime had answers. It tries to paint a tapestry of world building, but doesn't actually understand world building. If I were still on speaking terms with Goat Jesus, this would be the type of thing we'd hop on Discord for and just crap on while watching. World building is actually the biggest issue with Baan. In fact, it's the alpha issue, the corrupted core at the center that makes this thing fall apart for me. This is actually a case where an exposition-filled intro would have helped. I need something to compare it to, a measuring stick to which to explain my points, something inherently and utterly unfair, if only because, again, the gloves are off. That measuring stick? Blade Runner. Considering its one-off nature, Baan could have used more concise world building, and Blade Runner is probably a masterclass in how such a thing is accomplished. Baan tries hard to present world building through showing something potentially interesting to look at, or a concept with potential for expansion. The problem is that isn't how world building functions. World building is more than just having a thing that exists, it also serves the broader themes of the world. Despite having just opened, we know so much about the world. The text crawl alone does a lot of heavy lifting on something the audience must know before heading into the story proper, but in combination with it, there's more you can gauge just by looking at the clues within the environment. This is a shitty future where everything sucks, nature is dead, and corporations rule the world. Already, I can sink my teeth into that. This is a future with flying cars. Awesome. Can sink into that too. And even going back to the text crawl, there was plenty of concrete information. There are androids that resemble humans called replicants, and they are illegal on Earth. Got it. There are replicant hunters called Blade Runners, tasked with terminating them if caught. Got it. It's set in Los Angeles 2019. God damn it. Even beyond the opening, more is introduced to spice the world up even further as the story progresses. We're not only told replicants are strong, we see it firsthand when Deckard faces off against one man to man. We don't need to be told the world of Blade Runner is overpopulated and scummy, just look at it. The Void Comp test is more than just a thing that occurs to catch replicants. It serves the broader themes of the story itself about what it means to be human. We are told off-world colonies exist, heavily implying we've mastered space travel in this universe. In the final moments of Roy Batty's life, he recounts concepts like C-beams glittering in the darkness near Tannhauser Gate, not just to flesh out the sci-fi element, but thanks to a powerful performance, fleshes out a character before he dies. Those are just a few examples of immediate yet powerful world building, the kind that makes a universe transcend beyond fictional existence in people's minds, making a tangible connection with the viewer and makes it memorable. In comparison, Baan has no spice. We never see how magic affects our world aside from a little gag. If magic didn't exist in this anime, the setting wouldn't change much. It's just a boring world when all is said and done. You can throw in a magic dragon creature that's never explained, a magic ritual that's never explained, and a threat that's never explained and becomes irrelevant to the rest of the story all you like. I'm gonna forget this once it's over. Having magic in your story doesn't make your world any more interesting. If that were the case, people would have loved High Guardian spice. I've seen student films, the kind of films that usually suck for obvious reasons, have a more interesting setting. For fuck's sake, Whiplash was originally a short student film, and I'd watch that again over this.
I will fuck you like a pig.
Baan was a chore to watch, and I had to view it multiple times for this review. I could go on by saying I'm not a fan of its chronological structure that makes Christopher Nolan want to puke, or that none of the characters have any tangible development within whatever precious minutes were in this anime, or the fact for a project that's led by a guy whose defining attribute is poking fun at anime tropes, he somehow manages to make his own anime that falls off the anime trope tree and hits every goddamn branch. But I wanted this to be as streamlined as possible and get the crucial points out of the way. It doesn't really matter anyway. I mean, who's gonna listen to me? I'm just a washed up anime reviewer from a bygone era of the internet who wasn't even well known in his own time to begin with. It all doesn't matter. Look, regardless of my opinion on Baan, I'm actually still glad it exists, if only because it's a case where a critic of its respective medium dared to create something within it firsthand. That doesn't happen often, and while I'm critical of the end result, Lord knows my dumbass wouldn't be able to make something like it, if not because of money, then for the lack of ability to manage such a feat with other people. Look, go ahead and make up your own mind on Baan or any other indie project made by a critic all you like. I'm gonna go back to going out to get the milk. I'll be right back.